Oh my God.
All right, it says we're live. I'm just going to start now. Hello and welcome to the Survivor Maryland Major Conflict, episode 12 live show. I'm your host, Anders, and as always, I'm joined by incredible guests. Joining me every week is Miss Erin from Survivor Michigan Season 3. Erin, how are you?
Oh, I am doing fantastic, Anders. A little sad about the boot this week, but, you know, here we are.
Fantastic. From Survivor Boston, which is now having its season 4, yes.
Yep.
Please welcome Mr. Charlie.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on, Anders.
Course.
Excited to talk about Survivor Maryland.
Charlie, are you currently in Boston?
No, I am in Los Angeles now. I moved to LA a few months ago. As did a lot of people from my school.
He's not even in the state where the Survivor is happening. Don't want to.
I'm not even where we did our Survivor, yeah. I'm an unloyal host.
Pathetic. From Survivor Maryland, in a future season, we've got Danny. Danny, how are you?
Hello. I am doing just great today.
Danny, tell me, are you still in Maryland?
Yeah, I'm in Maryland at College Park right now, but I do not normally live in College Park, so that's exciting.
We love that. We love being on campus during this pandemic. And then finally, not from a college survivor, how did you even get here? Brie Taylor.
Hi. Hello. I don't know. I'm not a college survivor person. I'm just an org person, which I think is like just a tier below everybody else. So
yeah, it's a real tier below.
Orgs are pretty cool.
Survivors to do an online game. It's not as cool as doing a fan game during college. So we're here to talk about this incredible episode. First, let's just get around, like, what did everyone think of this episode?
It was an experience for sure. I have a lot of opinions, but I'll hold on to them for a bit.
Was an experience okay?
I liked it. I think for once in a little bit, things seemed a little bit more up in the air for a while. But I think at the same time, it also cemented one person's place in a very, very good position, which I'm assuming we'll talk about.
I mean, you can just say it. I mean, we're going to talk about everything.
Yeah, you're right. I think it puts Doug in a very good position where he's either going to win or he's going to get 4th place.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Doug is in a good position. He's waiting all season for it.
Yeah, right. I haven't seen Doug in a good position all season.
Yeah, I think that this was an episode where the dynamics were actually interesting, and like I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen going into Tribal.
Erin really said, I've been on this show for 11 weeks, and now it's interesting.
It's finally interesting. Thank God things are happening. But no, I'm pleased that, you know, the kind of top dogs were more on the bottom this week, and I think that was a good. It was a 1 week dynamic change because, like Charlie said, Doug is still now in a much better position, and he's like secured Sadie's jury vote by not voting for her, and it's like, you know, let's continue to give Doug the win, and I think it's gonna continue being like that. But yeah, I think it was actually I didn't necessarily know what was going to happen going into Tribal. I was leaning towards it being Sadie, but it was exciting kind of going through and watching that. And I think there were a lot of background players that came to the forefront a little more this episode, which was nice.
Yes, Dane.
Going into Tribal, I legit, I had no idea what was going to happen. I thought for sure it was going to be Angie going in because I'm like, oh, girl, please do not step off that pole. You're going to get voted out. And I was full on expecting that. And then when finally a big player got taken out, so I was very excited by that.
Yeah.
I really thought Doug was going to play as idol for Sadie. I thought that, but then I remembered, no, Doug is very selfish. So
he's very passive. I think this is definitely this is just making him more of a passive player. I think he gives me such losing finalist vibes because of this. Because of this.
That's a bold take. Wow.
Yeah. Sorry. This is real losing finalist energy. if we're honest.
Well, I think if he didn't have his 3 idols, I think it would have been a bad move to get rid of Sadie. And I actually think he probably would have done something to make sure it wasn't Sadie. But since he has these 3 idols, I don't think he had to worry that much.
I think that was hugely calculated because he does have 3 idols. He could have used one of them to save Sadie, but at the same time, like, what now? Now I think he's like, oh, but now maybe Delaram and Abby will attach themselves to me instead because I'm the one that has the best relationship with them. So, I'll still have a bunch of options going forward, and losing Sadie is something I was going to have to do eventually anyway. So now might as well be the time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, Doug with 3 idols is in a good position. I think that's a really good read on the passive play, and also having the idols don't need to do much. For anyone who's just tuning in and you're wondering, where's Sadie? Why isn't she here so we can yell at her for making bad moves? She's not currently here. She's driving, so we can't have her this week. Maybe we'll have her in a future week to yell at her. Maybe not. She knows what she did.
Not my winner pick is beating me.
Erin, I'm sure this is a hard week to watch to see your winner pick finally go, but I mean, it had to happen. There was no way they could all get to the end.
It didn't have to happen. She could have won.
We all knew it was going to happen eventually.
Yeah.
Sadie loses. So we start this episode with Sadie, Delaram, and Abby are like, that's weird. Our plan didn't work for once. Why is that? And then they're like, but we can still trust Doug and Santi. That's going to be the final 5. And Doug and Santi are like, well, I guess we could do whatever we want. What do we think of the 3 girls being like, it's cool, we were on the wrong side, but this final 5 is still sticking together. We're clearly the majority in that 5, but that's all going to work.
Well, I think Delaram and Abby have been pretty passive throughout this whole game, and I think they've kind of just stuck to those cards a little bit, where they're like, oh, we're not going to try to adjust from this kind of blind side. We're just going to stick to Sadie, see what happens. I also think, and this is kind of Dane and Tim's fault too, that their biggest problem is that like Dane and Tim and then Delaram and Abby, like they just pitted themselves against each other when they refuse to like talk to each other or work together, which gives Doug and Santi so much more of an edge because they could just be the people in the middle that both groups kind of go to. Just because they seem to refuse to, like Dane and Tim and then Delaram and Abby seem to refuse to work together.
No, that's definitely a fair assessment. You don't see everyone working together. It's very much like Doug, Santi, Sadie, and Angie are talking to the people, and everyone else is staying where they are.
Yeah.
What do you think, Erin?
They're not gonna like. What are they gonna do? Start playing the game now? Like, I'm sorry.
Never too late.
No, they've
It's not how you start a game; it's how you finish it.
Yeah, I guess, but like I feel like they're only like their thought process is probably like, oh well, this was gonna be our final 5. All of those 5 people are still here. Like it doesn't really matter the order that everyone else goes out. But their thought process should be, it shouldn't matter. So why did we just get blindsided? And like obviously they're not happy with it. And I think it was so funny that Abby was like, I was really looking forward to getting the chance to work with Josh. It's like, girl, you've had the chance to work with Josh this whole game. You've just never done it. Which I thought was really funny. But no, I don't know. I have like my expectations for Delaram and Abby are like approximately 0. So I'm not looking for them to, turn on this and be like, oh, maybe we should do something. No.
I think if anybody's going to do it, it's probably like of the 2, it's probably going to be Abby. I would see her having more of that willingness to do something big, but Delaram I feel like is just kind of like on the just there to vibe, like just there to do as people tell her
Aren't
to
we
do.
all?
Yeah, I mean that's like most of the cast. They're just like there to vibe and hopefully they vote on the right side. If they don't, then like I don't know.
More vibing.
I feel kind of the opposite though. I don't know why. I got the impression. I don't know why I feel like the Delaram would be the person to kind of just go out there and maybe try to mix something up now that Sadie's gone. I don't know why I get the feeling Delaram might be kind of person just go out there. So I kind of felt the opposite, but that's just me.
I think like, with her, she's going to have those perspectives. Like, I think in her confessionals, she'll probably be really heated about it and like want to do something about it. But I don't see her sticking her neck out to do something. That's like my thing. I think like Abby has this more like, has a little bit more of that personality that I would see kind of sticking up for herself. That's just my opinion on it, but it's obviously like up in the air. I think neither of them are probably going to do anything, but of the two, it would probably be Abby from my point of view.
You say this, and yet Delaram has voted right more times than Abby has. Strategic goddess, maybe.
I'm a Delaram stan. What can I say? I have an irrational standing of Delaram, and I don't know why.
I stand her so hard, but I just like don't know if it's gonna happen for her. Like, again, it's that like, third, fourth place. She's playing for third or fourth place is what I'm seeing from her, honestly.
Fair. We'll see what happens with those.
They all disagree with me, I feel, but
I think I agree.
Do you? You don't sound sure.
You don't sound like you do.
No, I think that's a fair assessment.
I feel like I don't know. Personally, I feel like even if either of them ever wanted to do anything, neither of them has the agency to do so. Like, both of their closest connection is Doug, and so like, what's their big move?
They're gonna work with Doug.
It's like too little, too late. Kind of. Yeah.
Revolutionary.
Yeah.
Wow, working with Doug. I would have never thought of that.
They're gonna wake up tomorrow morning and talk to Doug.
Talk to Doug. First thing.
So then we hear from the other side, which is like Dane is like, thank God I didn't go home again. Dane just keeps getting these close calls of almost going home. What a king. So
and finally Dane says, I'm starting to feel like I'm the bottom rung of this ladder. Like, how astute, Dane. Wow.
Dane, after getting like 20 votes, perhaps I'm in a subpar position. We also hear Angie speak about like, because she had a relationship with Josh, but she ultimately chooses to vote him out. And her reasons for doing so are, one, she doesn't trust that even if she were to work with Josh and the girls, that she would ever be anything more than fourth place to them. And with the guys, there's more of an opportunity to break them up. How do we feel about this decision-making on Angie's part? Because I know last week it was a little bit like, why did Angie go for Josh?
I kind of see where she's coming from, because like Abby, Sadie, and Delaram, to me, at least the way I view it, are like extremely close, and I don't see any way you can break that up. Whereas with like Doug and Santi, they know they can't go to the end together. Or at least I hope they do. But like, so I kind of see where she's coming from with choosing to go with the guys, even though it kind of makes me insane that everyone decides to keep working with Doug. But that's a different story.
He has 3 idols. They've got to work with Doug. He's so nice.
So nice. I think it was the right call. Like, I think in that thought process is correct, because yeah, like, you're not going to break up Sadie, Delaram, and Abby. Like, you're just not, because they've already attached themselves to Sadie, and Sadie knows that she can beat both of them. So why would anybody ever like stray from that 3? Whereas, like, I don't agree that Doug and Santi are gonna like not bring each other to the end, especially because like Santi has this like loyalty. He's like, Doug's my roommate. I'm not gonna do that to him. Like, we're going to the end together. And I think I wrote down this quote because he said, I want to beat Doug. I don't want to get him out. I want to beat him.
Yeah.
That's true.
He wants to bring Doug to the end.
You're not gonna do it.
And he's not going to. And Doug knows that, which is why they're going to end up at the end together. If that's how that goes. But I feel like Angie also knows, she's like, oh, but I could also go with Tim and Dane, which is obviously what we saw kind of formulating in this episode.
Which is probably the better take. I'm sure we would all rather take Tim and Dane over Doug and Santi.
Yeah, especially after you made sure that Dane was a jury goat during tribal council.
Oh, yeah, I really made Dane the jury goat here. I was the one who said, Dane, hey, can you please text Delaram she should vote for you and get a power trip over winning immunity?
Literally the dumbest shit I've ever seen. Like, why? I don't understand.
I thought it was funny. Like, if someone with the community texts me, "Hey, you should vote for me tonight," I think that'd be kind of cool.
Oh,
I'd laugh.
No, I
I
mean,
don't
there-
think Delaron found it that funny.
No, because I feel like it's condescending. Like, I feel like it's just so condescending to do that in his position at that point. Like, ugh. Like,
Yeah, but at the same time, like they've been on opposite sides. Like they know that they're not voting together. So I don't know, like she was just like asking him to lie to her, or like I don't know what she expected asking that. I'm not saying that it was a good call by him saying what he said, but like I don't know. I
I
understand.
think it was a categorically bad call to do it.
Yeah, I guess.
It was like, wow, very proud about one immunity win. Like,
He proved himself, Anders. He proved himself.
Yeah, I think that was a bad move just because even though they weren't working together, I think they're at the small enough numbers where you can't like rule out anybody. And by doing that, he was just completely doing like ruling out ever working with Taylor.
That's the thing. Like he's completely cutting off his options. So
Yeah,
he's really stuck with what he has now. Like by doing that, like she's not going to ever want to work with her or with him, and like the people that she's working with are never going to want to work with him. So he really put him in a position to like probably get like 7th or 8th place. Like I don't see him being someone that people want to keep around after this.
well, he can't get 8th place. Let's make that clear. He didn't win immunity this week.
I actually fully believe he would have been voted out had he not won immunity.
Agreed.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Agreed. Yeah.
100%.
I mean, if Angie was safe, that would have definitely been the target. It's just a question of would Doug and Santi go for Sadie, would Santi go for Sadie still, or would they be like?
I think he didn't do it to save Angie. He's not in love with Dane. He's in love with Angie.
Mm-hmm.
They're just friends.
Aren't we all though?
They're star-crossed lovers. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think he would have saved. He would have wanted to. I think under any other circumstance, Santi probably would have kept Sadie in the game, but because the other option was Angie, I think he didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's true.
We do
all.
all love Angie.
We do.
Doug made this point during the episode. Like Angie's a threat. Everyone wants her to win. Like she has this underdog story, and everyone loves her. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
I mean, he's right.
Yeah.
Doug is right about everything. All right, be honest.
No, if Angie wins, that would be sick.
Talk to Doug about this. Well, so before the challenge, we also hear Doug, Santi, and Tim be like, so Sadie? No, we can't get rid of Sadie. No, it's too early. We love her. There's this weird sort of resistance to getting rid of Sadie, despite everyone kind of being aware that, especially for Doug and Santi, she is not someone who will keep them around. Like, she will cut them at the Final 5 and Final 4.
Yep.
But they're like, we can't get rid of her.
They're on the same flag football team. I don't know what you want from them. They
You're
can't
right.
get her out.
These are just the weirdest like connections that people have. They're like some of them are looser than others, but they're like so weirdly connected. And I'm like, why do you have this weird loyalty to somebody that you're in like a business crap with? Like, why do you care so much about them like being obsessed with you? It's really not that deep. Like it's they're not your like best friend or your roommate. Like they're in your business
Brie,
crap. See them
have you
on
ever
There's so many odd
Uh,
connections, and
like you can avoid them if they're really that mad at you going forward. Like you see that chapter and then you don't see them for a week and then you see them again and then you don't see them. It's not that deep. It's really not.
Spoken like someone not in a business frat.
Oh my God. The blood oath is really that deep, I guess. Maybe I'm
When
missing.
you're doing your weekly cocaine circles, it's hard to miss them. I mean, that doesn't happen at UMD. Ignore me.
Once you join the pyramid scheme, things are just like that's just it.
Previously on.
Sorry, Danny, you were saying something, I think.
yeah, there's so many weird connections when it comes to College Survivor. Somehow everyone knows someone on the cast. It's just bizarre.
I can't believe we still have like 2 roommate pairings.
Yeah.
I hate the roommate pairings. Controversial hot take. I hate the idea of playing with a roommate. Like,
I do too.
I just hate it.
Because can you imagine voting out your roommate and like what that
Exactly.
looks like?
I do it. I do it full
I-
send. I don't care.
I would do it if
That's like
Respect.
really insane.
I don't think I.
like sitting, just like going home after tribal together, and like
Well, and like with the roommate, like you have like an automatic connection going into the game, and I don't understand why more people don't do something about it. Like my rationale is I would target roommates first and foremost because I have 0 connections going, and you have 1. You're more of a target than me. Why you gotta go?
Well, but I think the thing that happened here is that basically everyone had a connection of some sort. And if you didn't, then like you were
The
odd one out by not having a connection.
like you had these like little circles.
Right, exactly. Like there was people who did Quidditch together, people in the same business frat, like whatever, especially when you're making a season based around majors.
The people who live on the south side of campus. That is what I've ever heard.
Oh,
That is like such a broad umbrella though at UMD.
I mean, the campuses are huge.
Like just you're near each other. Like you're within a few blocks of each. I don't know. It's the dumbest shit.
Yeah, why would you want to vote?
I mean,
why would you want to vote them
campus
off? They're
is the
like
best.
near you.
Literally.
I mean,
You
I
don't
think
know
I
to them.
agree. The roommate thing is definitely very hard to be a part of because you have to work with them or else it could be bad for your relationship. But also, it's like it's not as if they're hidden. This isn't a hidden relationship like maybe Jasmine and Liam were or some other relationship for it. This is like everyone knows and they've known since the very beginning and nothing has happened. No one's like, perhaps we should do something about it. They go, I suppose I'll work with both of them or tell
That's
the
what
other
I'm
one.
too. And like they're pairing up. Like these roommates are, together and they're unbreakable, whatever. And then everybody is deciding, I'm gonna work with both of them.
Or just one and say I want to vote out the other.
Maybe they're just taking it as a 2-for-1 deal, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, one ally get one free. Like, I feel like that's, not a bad option either.
Immediately going to you're just like immediately finding yourself in that third place spot. Like if it's the final 2, you're going to be like third place. Like there's just no getting around it. How do you expect yourself to be like weasel your way in?
Well, if you go with Abby and Delaram and you say you actually have to vote for each other at this point, then they will just they'll take the U instead. Also, all the way from Boston season 1, we've got Brian. Speaking of losing finalists, how are you?
He's next. He's right over there.
No, I read the
Next
comment.
one.
I know. I'm literate. See, unlike the players this season, I can read between the lines and see what's going on instead of just going, perhaps there isn't anything to fear here.
Don't talk about Josh like that.
I'm wondering if people think that. Oh, and maybe he will. Probably not. I wonder if people think that like one roommate, like for example, Santi will turn on Doug. If one will turn on the other, or if they're not even thinking about that.
I think people think that. People think they're going to turn on each other. And I could even see, I think Doug would cut Santi if he thought that Santi might beat him. But, people, it's not even, because it's a complicated situation once you get that deep. Because, they're looking at the game from different perspectives. Santi does want to play that loyal hero game. He wants to take his roommate to the end. And Doug can do the same thing because he's going to beat Santi. And he knows that. Like, now that Sadie's gone, I think Doug knows for sure that if he's at the end, he's winning this game. So he doesn't really care who he's with.
Well, and he's got a free ride to the Final Four.
Exactly.
Bree, your eyebrows went up. You disagree with the sense that he would win this game.
Okay. I think, from an outsider's perspective, I think that Santi is playing a better game than Doug. And I know that's a hot take, but
I agree.
Thank you. Let me defend myself really quick. So I think that Santi is playing a better game because I think if you look at Doug is always the person that has to approach other people about his perspective on the game and what he wants to do and where he wants to go listen. And then if you look at Santi, I don't think the same is happening for Santi. I think a lot more people are approaching Santi about their opinions, and he's just like this mellow person that people are going to like air out all their shit. And like, granted, I think like there are more cases for Doug. I like think he's a good player, but I don't know. I just feel like, I just think Santi is that player that's going to, thank you, take it to the end. I think he's going to do more in the coming weeks that we haven't seen yet, but I do think he's playing like an underrated game right now because Doug is going to be the one that's going to make the target for himself, and Santi's going to kind of ride it out and then make those like pivotal moves at the end. So I think, and I also think Santi's more willing to cut Doug than Doug is to cut Santi. And that might be a hot take, but that's my opinion. I think that Santi is going to do what needs to be done for him to win. And I don't know if
The thing
Doug's
with Santi,
invested, like very emotionally attached to these people. And I don't think Santi is on that same level as Doug is.
yeah, I agree with that. I also just feel like Santi's more just generally likable. At least that's what I'm getting from my perspective, is that Santi I feel like I can more like approach with and kind of like develop a connection with, where Doug, I don't feel like, at least Santi gives me a little bit more like, he feels a little bit more genuine to me.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, he is more approachable. And I feel like Santi is just getting started, especially with like this move. I think Santi is just getting started.
Yeah. And he is getting the blood on his hands that like Doug isn't willing to do. And whether or not this jury is going to be bitter or not is going to decide whether Doug pulls out a win or Santi pulls out a win. Because I think if you look at it from like an objective perspective, like Santi was the one that took out Sadie, and like, you know, Doug wasn't willing to do that. So I feel like, I don't know. I just have like, I think Santi's a better overall player.
I think
Erin,
I feel like
I have a question real quick. Does Santi know that Doug has all three idols?
No. So
He knows
the
about
idol,
two.
here's the situation. So the first idol that Doug found, no one knows about. The second one, only
Right.
Tim, Sadie, and Santi know about. The third one,
Right.
Sadie and Santi were told about, and then also Delaron and Abby know about.
And now
Delaron and Abby
everybody
know
knows.
everything. And now everyone has been told.
Everyone
Okay,
knows about
right.
these idols. Like that is like another thing that I
Well,
find.
two, not the third.
It's still like here, like it only takes one idol for people to be paranoid, and there's
Right.
7 people left in the game, right? So, like, of the 7 people who know that, like, or who are left in the game, how many people know about his idols?
I mean, honestly,
no.
I don't know about at least one. So, like, that is such a testament to Doug's game there itself, of the fact that everybody knows he has at least one idol. A lot of people know that he has 2, and they're comfortable with him keeping those idols. They're comfortable with him, like, continuing through this game with those idols. And people have been just handing Doug information. The reason he has 2 of those idols, all 3 of those idols, are because he got clues from other people for no reason.
That's what I was
I
That's
mean,
what kills me, is everyone is literally just handing information to Doug, and it makes me want to rip my hair out. Like, why
I think
do you
that's a
trust
testament to his
this
social
person
game.
so much?
He is
That's
not going to other people. People are coming to Doug. Everybody wakes up in the morning, and the first thing that they do is call Doug and say, "Hey, I dreamt that somebody else had an idol, just so you know." And
Well,
it's like, no, that is people just hand their information out. I understand. No, coming into this later game, like as we're getting deeper, I think that is starting to change. I think that people are starting to like hold back a little bit more with like Angie and things like that. But those are people that Doug didn't need previously. He has built himself. He has, everybody that's been knocked out, barring Sadie, and even Sadie, he could have stopped this from happening if he thought that this move was going to be bad for his game. He decided to let Sadie go, not write her name down so that she herself was not bitter, and he figured she was going to have jury influence as well. So he is building himself up an even stronger case, even through this move.
What I will say though, like I agree. I think like his ability to like get the information out of other people is a testament to his social game. But also, he didn't have to tell Tim that he had an idol, and he just like did it. Like he just said it. Like he was just like in the middle of the conversation. Like Tim even said, like I'm having this conversation with Doug. It's like I'm kind of like freaking out about. I don't remember what he was freaking out about.
It was about the Amanda vote.
Right. And then Doug just out of nowhere blurts out that he has an idol. Like, why? Like, why does he need to know that?
It's like early on when Doug immediately told Santi that Liam told Amanda his advantage and that all these people were talking to each other. You're right, Erin, that everyone just tells Doug everything. But Doug and Sadie have both shown they're pretty bad at keeping secrets sometimes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
But they built up enough walls that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but like my thing is like if you're getting all this information from people, you can weaponize it or you can keep it to yourself. And Doug is not doing either. He's just blurting it out and giving this information without getting anything in return for it. So I feel like if he was taking this information and he was like using it against other people, like has he told nobody else about his idols and then planted seeds that other people had idols, knowing that he does? That's a great way to weaponize the idol information, but he's not using that information to his advantage. So like, what good is it to really have people giving you information and for you to be giving it to people if you're not gaining anything from it?
I guess in this case, yes, but I think that step by step, every single vote has gone exactly the way that Doug has wanted it to go, or at least he's had some sort of influence in changing it if he wanted to. And he just decided, I just saw somebody in the chat say like he didn't use the idol on Sadie because he knew he didn't have to. Because he knew Sadie going, like I said, was still going to be fine for him. Because now he is the next closest person to the goats, Delaram and Abby. So he can take that avenue if he wants to. Or he can, keep going with the final 5 that he has now. And he has every option in the world. And he knows that his roommate, like tried and true hero Santi, is going to go take him to the end. And Doug, I think Doug has an argument to beat Santi. I agree, Santi's more approachable, Santi's more likable, but Doug is still super approachable and likable, and that's how he's gotten to the spot that he's at.
But Erin, he's not likable for the fans.
I guess.
Oh God!
Because he's so on top
I like Doug.
People don't like Doug. For somebody in that much power.
I can't root for people in power.
Exactly.
I just can't. People in power drive me insane. And like, I know if I were personally playing with Doug, I would want to rip my hair out because the fact that he keeps going through and no one's like opposing him is making me go actually insane.
No, people have opposed
them. I'm gonna say that is obviously a testament to their game, like to Doug and Santi's game, because they really have they've been clocked. People know that they're threats, and yet nobody's doing anything about it. Like, I can't oppose Doug and Santi for being good at the game. I'm more angry at the other people in the game who are unwilling to do anything about it. Like, why aren't the rest of the people in the game coming together and being like, there's 2 of them who are running the game right now, and there's 5 of us. Like, why are we not taking these people out together?
And the answer is Sadie. No, it is. But we'll get into that a little later. I think we've talked about Santi and Doug, but there are still 5 other people we can discuss from this episode. Look, I enjoy this conversation. It's an interesting thought experiment, and everyone has their own opinion about it. Only I know the truth, but neither of them make it there. No. And the final 2 is Abby and Delaram, and they both win.
I would stand so hard.
Okay, so we go to the challenge, and the pole challenge is it is a challenge of being able to stand on these things. The truth is, it's going to be painful. It's going to be cold. But at the end of the day, anyone can pretty much win this as long as they are pushing themselves. And what we saw is that the people who felt the most comfortable were out very quickly. Abby, Delaram, Sadie, Doug, Santi. Yeah. Tim took a little longer, but even he felt comfortable. Like, none of them felt like they needed to win. Obviously, that goes into their comfortability. So then we have Dane and Angie on those polls for an hour and a half longer than anyone else because they are driven to win. Do we think that this was smart on their parts? What do we feel about this moment? What does this say about Angie and Dane in this game?
I actually really liked that conversation that they had. I'm like, oh, this is kind of an unlikely pairing. Like, maybe there's potential to see like a new power duo here that we haven't seen before. That's not like the power players that we've been seeing this whole time. And I actually really like that Angie mentioned Doug and Santi to Dane. Is like, you can't trust them as much as you think you can. I'm like, oh, okay, something's really in the works here. And so I liked their conversation a lot. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere because right after the challenge, they just went to Doug and Santi. So it's kind of too little too late. But I did like sort of what they were getting up to at the challenge and how I liked that they were having that conversation.
I might be wrong. I can't remember like entirely, but didn't Tim drop because he wanted to get the idol? Like his only intention was for dropping, like he could have stayed on a little bit longer, right? In
For
theory. Sure. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. I thought he played it up like he couldn't have stayed on any longer. Like he was like sliding off of the pole to give the illusion like he was just like he had to get out so that he can get that idol, and then the idol wasn't there anymore. So
wow. Wonder who has
about
the idol. Maybe it's the person everyone keeps giving goddamn clues to. Oh my god.
No.
Couldn't be.
No, you're wrong.
Couldn't be me.
That's crazy. You're crazy for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think those two being the last two in really showed the self-awareness that they each have. Like finally, Dane has some self-awareness, which I think is really fun for him. But I also think he was kind of in it for the wrong reasons, where he was like, you know, I want to prove myself by winning this challenge. Like, nobody's won a challenge except Angie and Sadie. But that's it. You think none of these people are good players because they haven't won a challenge? Like, shut the hell up, Dane. But like,
I feel like self-awareness, like I feel like Tim wasn't really being self-aware in this situation. I don't think he was really doing it because he felt like he was in danger. I feel like he was doing it more because he just wanted to win. So I can't really give him a ton of credit for being like self-aware.
I think he did. He saw he was in danger. Like you could kind of tell by their conversation. Like, you know, like he was like, I just got 4 votes last tribal. Like I've been getting vote after vote after vote. I'll get more votes if I don't win immunity. Which like I said, I fully believe he would have gone home had he not won. And I think that it's at least a slight, like maybe he's inching towards self-awareness, but he's at least somewhat like he knew that he somewhere in him, he was like, I should win this. And maybe it was all just about him proving himself. But I like to think, I just want to give him just a sliver of credit to be like, here you go, Dane. Maybe you did think about something.
First of all, why did it take him so long to figure this out? And second of all, like him winning this challenge, like to prove himself, like it's an individual game. Like the people who are being really good at these challenges are going to be perceived as threats. So like, why are you wanting to like prove yourself to the people who are like inevitably going to vote you out? Like, I'm just confused. Like, I'm just confused why he thought like at merge, proving yourself is important.
Maybe it's to look better in front of the jury.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Hey, I have this win on my belt. I stuck through the whole challenge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It feels a lot better to sit at final tribal and it like if you have no moves under your belt, like if you were like, yeah, no, I just like followed Doug here. Like you can at least be like, but at least I won a challenge, you know?
As the famous Courtney Yates once said, I won an individual immunity. Did you?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, like in theory, how many juries are like, well, they did win.
I can tell you from experience enough. But I mean, it is one of those things where it's very old Survivor, like showing that I'm strong, showing that I'm here is an expression that I am a good player. And it's like, maybe, I guess, congrats.
I think that's what it is. I think Dane is an old school player and he's playing in like, that's what he is. He's an old school player. He just wants to like get to the end, figure it out once he gets there. And I think he's like, he doesn't necessarily have the strategic mind to like, you know, play hard and get right into it and do anything like that. But he's like slowly picking up on that throughout the game. And especially in this conversation with Angie, where she was like, hey, wake up. You can't trust Doug and Santi. He was like, oh, really? And like, kind of listened to her. And so now I really like kind of the planting of the seed of this, like, you know, Dane, Tim, and Angie trio. I like that a lot. But I think given that, like, it's a confirmed final 2. Is that correct, Anders?
No, I haven't confirmed anything for them.
Oh, okay. Well, given the fact that it's hinted at a final 2, I don't think that looks great for Angie, but I also don't think she has a lot of great options, considering now at final 7, I think she's the only one that is without a real pair. So, I don't know.
I have a hot take regarding that alliance. I don't know why. My hot take is I get winner vibes from Tim, and I have no idea why. My hot take is I feel like Tim might win. I can't explain it. I just think he might win.
I can't stand him in my bones.
He seems like a nice guy.
Something about him is just like, I don't want him to win at all. Like,
Tim just has like the personality of like a saltine to me. He's like so plain and boring, and I feel like he's going to win, and I don't know why.
It's like when he's sitting. He said something like, where was it? I think it was like at the beginning of Merge. He was sitting there and he was like, well, I'm at Merge. Like, now I'm going to win. And I'm like, I don't think that's true at all. But okay. I mean, go off. If that's how you feel, confidence is important. But I don't think that it's going to happen, to be honest.
Let's give credit where credit is due. Tim came up with a really good joke that was okay 4 years ago, but now has become really funny, where Santi goes, hey, Doug, are you feeling the burn? And Tim goes, no, he's more
Oh my god,
Hillary
that was
guy.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
That took me out
That's
when I
pretty
heard
good.
that. That highlighted the episode. What can I say?
It's kind of a subtle burn, to be honest.
I think the week after the election wasn't that funny. 4 years after the 2016 election, hilarious.
It's such a awkwardly placed joke now because we're watching it, and like back then it would have landed so hard, but now it's like ironically.
Like, oh yeah, it was 4 years ago.
Yeah,
That really puts it in perspective. Like nothing. Like
Yeah.
I kind of forget that it's been 4 years, other than like Mike looking the way that he is, and like that joke is the only
I
thing
think
that
in one of the episodes that they mentioned Yik Yak, which instantly dated
he's
it.
wearing a
He
Yik
was
Yak
wearing a Yik Yak shirt, yeah.
yeah, because he's
No way.
He's a brand ambassador, yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah. that also really put it in perspective.
Yeah.
Well, all this shows is that Survivor's timeless. It could be 4 years ago or now, and it's still the same shit.
The themes are still.
I will say, I think Angie beat Tim's joke though at the challenge when Dane was like, "Yeah, it might go to Rocks," and Angie goes, "Who's Rocks?" That killed me.
Hold on.
I did not catch that.
No, I caught that, and I'm like, out of curiosity, had Angie seen Survivor before this? Because I'm like,
No.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding?
This is like, I'm sorry, Andrew. I'm just going to pivot for 1 second. I promise I'll stop after. But in Mike's season of Endure that he just played, he did not know how rocks worked. He thought that if they couldn't come down and decide who goes, that the two people who got the votes were the ones who drew rocks.
That's a real.
Yikes.
You just got votes. You're getting punished again.
He explained it to this girl. He was like, yeah, so like if we do it, like there really is no harm in us doing rocks. They're just the ones that are drawing the rocks. And she was like, no. It was Daniela. It was Daniela who had to explain.
oh my god.
Who had to explain to him that that's not how rocks worked. And they were the ones that were going to have to draw the rocks if they got the votes. And he had never, I don't know if he's never seen it. Like, I'm pretty sure he's seen the show. He played Survivor Maryland.
He's played Survivor Maryland. There's no way he's watched the show and wouldn't know what the rocks are. Like, he just doesn't know.
He doesn't know.
He also played Quidditch and never watched or read Harry Potter, so let's not give him too much credit here.
Yeah. He doesn't want to be a nerd, but it's like.
Yes, there's nothing less nerdy than playing a fake sport.
Quidditch, a fictional sport that.
Look, I'll spend all day shitting on Harry Potter, but it's nerdier to play the sport than it is to read the books.
Yeah.
But okay. Yeah. Angie doesn't know what
Keep
rocks
them
are.
coming, guys. Keep them coming.
Anyways, no one here's watched Survivor. They don't even know what a vote is. Angie eventually relents after an hour and 51 minutes, and Dane gets his victory. He's finally put himself on the map. Now he's going to be remembered.
He did He said, I just wanted to put my name out there.
It's like, girl, your name's been out there in the urn every week. What do you mean?
Oh my god.
Dane in this immunity win give me the same energy as Angelina and the rice from David versus Goliath, and I don't know why.
It's so true.
He's never going to stop talking about that damn immunity win until the day he dies. I did win immunity after all.
Yeah.
Dane, what have you done in this
Like,
game?
kind of
Immunity?
Did you win an immunity?
Well,
His jury question's going to be, hey, what'd you guys think of my immunity win? Just a big smile.
Write down the vote in which I had immunity and none of you had immunity. Let's talk about it.
look, we can shit on Dane's confidence as much as we want, and we should. It was unfounded. But let's also talk about how this gave him confidence to be like, let's go for Sadie.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's so, you see like Tim and Dane both like ask Doug and Angie, and Doug's like, I don't know. And Sonny's like, what about Doug? There's like, but we shouldn't vote out Sadie. Well, what about Abby? She's a threat. It's like, girl, I don't know where you are, but Abby is a threat to no one.
I think the scene in this episode that most represents the entire season is when Santi and Tim are talking and Santi just screams, trust Doug. That's it. I think that encapsulates the entire season.
For me, it's when I think it was like Doug, Santi, and another white man in this cast. One of them.
There's only two right now.
When they're all sitting in when they're all sitting in like the room together, and Doug is like sitting up on the like lifted bed, and just above the other ones. So he like bounces up onto the bed, and like honestly, it's like his little throne.
Yeah.
I think the scene that best encapsulates this episode is Doug. When they're all sitting there and Tim's like, Doug, be honest. If you were watching this as a viewer, who would you target? And Doug goes, Abby.
Oh my god.
Or it's the part where Sadie, recognizing that she's in trouble, goes, if this were anyone but Doug, I would be telling everyone about his two idols. I would bury him. And it's like, Sadie, this is the kind of moment you have to look in a mirror and maybe go, maybe I should betray someone because I'm clearly in a position where this is the advantageous move to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's Survivor, baby. Got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
And it's funny because Doug eventually agrees to, even though he doesn't cast a vote for Sadie, he agrees to like letting her go. And so it's ironic that she couldn't do the same thing back to Doug as a last resort, you know?
And
I just want to say,
go ahead.
That rogue vote for Abby when the votes were being read totally threw me off. That when the votes were being read and I saw that vote for Abby, I was like, huh? And then it just threw me off so much. So props to you for that, Anders. That was inventive.
What can I say? I will also say this about the episode. We got this from last episode too with Josh, where Delron even says, like, I have floated out the idea, like, let's go for Doug. And Sadie keeps shooting it down. And if I don't have Sadie and Abby, I have no one. It's like, Sadie going here is her fault in so many ways.
Yeah.
Her resistance to going for Doug at any point lost her Josh and then lost her this moment. Because Angie even said, like, I want to take out Doug. And it's just like, you have someone like Sadie so unwilling to take out Doug. It's just like, what do you do?
I guess I'm trying to get in her head, and I guess she's thinking like, oh, I need to make sure Doug stays in this game because Doug is going to look out for me. Like that's probably what she's thinking. Even though in the end he doesn't fully do that, which I think actually damages Doug's game in a way. Now that I'm thinking about it.
I think here's where I think it's interesting is if Sadie ever asked Doug to play an idol on her, I think then it would kind of hurt that relationship. But the fact that there was like no request, no expectation of like him playing that idol for her, barring him just like maybe throwing it out there in a confessional, like from her perspective, it's like, well, he did what he could to save me. He didn't vote for me. So, I think we're still fine.
Well, when she finds though, but is she going to be sour towards him if she finds out that he had 3 idols and didn't use a single one on her?
Yeah.
Or I wonder if people will just look at that and kind of not respect Doug's game as much, because instead of doing a move that could protect someone who had been looking out for him, he chooses to kind of concede to these other players like Santi. And let something happen that he didn't want to have happen. So
I think it could be seen as like pandering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost think it could be seen as like blatant pandering.
If you're going to pander, you would use the idol on her. That's what I'm saying. Like pandering, it doesn't mean shit if like you say that, oh, I did all I could do for you, but you didn't. Like you could have, one, tried to get the vote off of her, and if that didn't work, 2, use the idol on her. Like that was real pandering.
I think this was honestly the first time Doug did something that was not strategic. I think that this was completely an emotional decision.
Yeah.
He felt so personally bad about writing Sadie's name down, like he just could not do it. Like you saw him in that confessional, like he was like, Sadie and I said that we wouldn't, go at each other until final 5. Like just personally, I wouldn't be able to do it before then. And so like he recognized that everyone around him was still going to vote for Sadie, regardless of what he said. And he was like, you know what? It's fine for my game if I let her go, but I just can't bring myself to write her name down.
This is a very interesting question or notice. Doug could have tied it. Now, let's say Doug does go and ties the vote between Angie and Sadie. I mean, how do we think that affects everything?
I think that's
Santi doesn't flip to vote Angie, so I feel like it deadlocks, right?
Yeah, it's just
that's what I think.
Just stupid.
Oh well, there's no chance in hell Doug would ever deadlock a vote and go to rocks. I think we can,
especially now with 3 idols in his pocket.
If he did that though, I would have died.
And then tied it, and that would have been like, you know what I mean? Like he could have tied and then used the idol on himself, and then go to rocks, and that would have been.
That
would have been sick.
But it also would have cut off. But it also, like, I think that this was like a cost benefit scenario, like analysis where he was like, why lose 4 allies, or like why lose?
Yeah.
Like he lost 1 ally, potentially brought 2 people closer to him while still retaining his 4 other allies.
Oh yeah.
So
I think it would have been bad to tie it.
Yeah. I think that this honestly was the best possible scenario for him.
Yeah,
and
I don't think it's a good decision for him to like tie it. I just think it would have been like really entertaining if he did.
Oh,
I actually do think the best scenario for him would have been to play the idol on Sadie, because Angie is more Santi's ally than she is Doug's ally. So it just would have helped Doug more. And even though it doesn't matter, he has these 3 idols that can get him to final 4. I feel like the jury would respect him more if he plays as if he didn't have these idols and tries to set up his pieces like
use that
in
one
spite of
idol.
having these idols.
Yeah. If people like are under the impression that he has that one idol, he could have been like, I used this only one idol I had on this girl, and then if he found himself in danger the next round, he could have idoled himself, and then it would have been fine. Well, but like,
go ahead, Charlie.
And I feel like what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, since he has like these 3 idols, it's just he has immunity for 3 rounds basically. But when you have that, like he doesn't have to worry about the social and strategic game as much anymore. And I'm sure he is gonna worry about that. But the fact that he doesn't really have to, I feel like people could look at that in the end and think, oh, is that like, do I respect that game as much as like the person who's sitting next to him who maybe has had to worry about that a little bit more? So,
yeah, but at the same time, I feel like Doug hasn't gotten to this point by playing like he has 3 idols. He's gotten to this point by playing as if he had no idols and still having those 3 to fall back on. So I think that he is going to continue to do that.
I also think like with him, there's never going to be a scenario where he goes home with all 3 idols in his pocket. Like I don't think
I wish.
because the flow of information is always going through Doug. Like it's always making its way to Doug in some capacity. Like I think that he's in tune with every conversation that's being had. So he's never gonna be blindsided in this game, I don't think, unless in some crazy scenario, every single person in this game makes the decision to take out Doug and keep it a secret from him. But that would mean people like Santi deciding to keep that information from him so early on. So I don't know if that's even really. Well, wait. If he has 3 idols and we're at final 7, when is the last?
He could play them
Final
every
five would
round
be the
now
last.
and get to final 4 is what would happen if he wanted to play them all for
Because
himself.
last time was 5, so he could just do boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Like he just played them every single round.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Erin, we kind of talked about this last week where it was he has 3 idols and it's like, does this overcompensate in a way and he feels less required to be doing the crazy moves he might otherwise do? Like when you have no idols, you're going to make sure all your allies stay in the game. When you have 3, it's less important to make every move count. Do we all think that like this moment of him allowing Sadie to go home is a part because he has this huge safety net to fall back on? Or do we think he is aware this is just the better move to make?
No, absolutely. I think that's exactly what it is. I think better for him had he had no idols would have been Angie, Abby, or Delaram going home. Because then you still have Sadie who's looking out for you, and you get rid of somebody that's either close to Sadie, who's one of your closest allies, or close to Santi, who's one of your closest allies. So I think those were best case scenario. But because he does have these 3 idols, he's like, what suffers me more, Sadie or 3 idols?
Yeah,
and I think
he has an injury disorder too.
Right.
He has one injury that's gonna like back him up.
Right. And I think this was honestly fine for him too, because like he knew he had to cut Sadie eventually. Sadie, I think, is the one person that he's truly worried about that would have beat him. And so he's like, and now doing it this way, he could get like Sadie could leave without him having any blood on his hands for that vote.
Oh,
fair. Yeah.
I think it's really going to depend on what he and Santi do next round to see,
So
like if Doug's going to just play like, oh, it doesn't matter what happens, I have my idol, or if Doug's going to really try to steer things in a certain direction,
So next round, we do have Abby and Delaram are basically going to be, they're either going to go directly to Doug or they're going to recognize they're in a shit position and have to do something. And it really becomes a question, what do we think is going to happen next round? Because this could be an opportunity for Doug and Santi to flip, create a new 4, and take out a threat. Or it could be Delaram and Abby make a move. It could be anything, really. What do
I
you
have
think?
no faith, and I think they're going to go right to Doug. I feel like they're going to flock to him like a bunch of flies.
Yes, that was. I literally think I don't have a ton of faith in anything like being shaken up at this next vote. I think that people are going to do what they've been doing the last few rounds, and they're going to just do what they're told to do. And I think that means that we're going to see like a Dane vote probably, which I think is so stupid. Or a Tim vote.
Tim. Yeah.
But
I think it's one of those two.
I think it's going to be Dane over Tim because I do think that like Doug still has more influence over Tim than he does over Dane.
And
unless Dane pulls out another immunity win.
Yeah, Dane's one immunity.
It'll be a big move.
Yeah, if Dane
It'll be a big move. Dane did win immunity after all. Got to take out those big threats.
His name is on that map. Is Tim?
I do see some interesting, like some people in the chat saying, like Santi being a swing vote next week between the Doug, Delaram, and Abby, and then the Tim, Angie, and Dane. Yeah, right. So I think that could be really interesting, and I think that will entirely, where Santi goes will entirely depend on who's being targeted on either side. I don't think he's not gonna go for Doug, and he's not gonna go for Angie. So I think if either side is targeting one person that Santi's not going to go for, that's going to determine which side he's going to end up on.
Yeah.
But Doug might know that and then play his idol on whoever Santi.
Oh, that's true.
But Santi might know that and play his idol Nullify.
Oh, God, I wish.
I like maybe, but I do think if he does pull off like a swing vote, like if he finds himself as the swing vote and he can do it without Doug finding out, which I think is a little bit unlikely, but I think it's, it's not like the most impossible thing to happen. If he can pull it off, I mean, that vote's his to claim. So that's just another thing, like another box that Santi is like checking off.
I also don't believe Doug is going to play his idols on anybody but himself.
You don't think?
No.
He might.
I mean, no, I think if he would have done it for Sadie. Because otherwise, at this point, like, what are you doing? Saving Delaram or Abby?
Right.
Like, what
But
good is that? So I think that,
like, it'll be strategic. That's my thing. Is like,
I guess, but it's just Doug has proven himself time and time again that he is just a very selfish player.
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing.
I don't think that he could bring himself to do that.
Like, I don't find him to be like a more strategic player than anybody else.
He doesn't.
More of a strategic player than anybody else, like even than Santi. But I do think he's a better social player. So I do think like, if he was a more strategic player, if he wanted what he wanted to happen next round to happen, and he knew that Santi was considering flipping, he could use his idol for the outcome that he wanted, because he knew that he would be safe. Because he's still going to know that he's safe, even if he knows that Santi's flipping, he's still safe.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
like he knows that like Santi's not going to vote for him, and like the other people are probably not going to vote for him, like, unless the vote is himself. Well, I mean, he might use it either way if we're looking at it from that perspective. Like but Santi wouldn't flip to vote.
He could use all three. He could cover himself, Delaram, and Abby. Why not?
Oh my
know.
God, that would be awful. I mean, just the thought of using an idol to protect a goat to me is just ugh.
And that's why it's a winning game move.
No,
So
I think
Winning immunity, however, big game move.
Big game move.
Doug
Thank
needs
you.
to win immunity. He can't win if he doesn't win immunity.
Yeah.
He's gotta have it.
He's gotta prove
Dane will
himself.
beat him. He won immunity.
Yeah, I will be damned. It means nothing because you didn't.
Yes, anyone can find an idol, but did you win immunity?
But did you win?
Not anybody can find an idol, actually. Only Doug can.
It's
Only-
true.
Evidently, only Doug can in this game.
So let's talk a little bit about winner picks. Erin, you've lost yours.
Do I get to
Um,
make a new one? Is that
If
legal?
you want to make a prediction for the end, it's there's still 7 people left.
It's Doug. Like, it's Doug, period. I don't think that.
Period.
Erin,
queen.
just like Sadie, deciding it's Doug. It's Doug. I love Doug, and Doug is the best.
Yeah, that's it. That's
what about
why
you?
I made my decision.
I'm come back. Wait, ask the others first.
Fine, Danny.
My hot take is still Tim, and I don't have an explanation or a reason, or he's not done any. Tim has not done anything to give me an inclination that he'll win. Like I said, he's got the personality of a saltine and some tap water. Like he really is like the most boring person ever. But I don't know why I think he's gonna win.
Oh, Erin, you're getting called out.
Santi, no!
Oh, Santi.
Santi, you still get a rose. It's okay.
I didn't think he'd be watching.
Well, now I have to say Santi because he's watching.
I wanted to say Santi.
Yeah, you go first. You go first.
So I said it at the top of the episode, so I am gonna stand by my pick of Santi. I think Santi's gonna win.
Huh.
I'm gonna
and
say-
curious, no women been named.
Oh, I'm gonna say
Fuck
Angie.
off.
There we go. Finally, a good pick.
I like that.
I want it to be Angie, but I see her
Doug
fifth
or
place.
Tim. Wow.
I see it place too.
I
I
agree.
see.
I
think
see Angie is like major,
Angie's
like
the dark one.
Janet, Island of the Idols vibes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she was such a
That's a good
Janet.
comparison.
I
Yeah.
see her as major Janet vibes, and like she's like such this beacon of light, and like the Doug show. But I
Queen.
just don't see her winning as much as I want her to win. And Angie's eventual boot episode will make me sob for like 5 hours straight.
I
There
see
will
it.
be no boot episode.
Like last tribal was iconic. Like her face the entire time, she's just sitting there like she's about to bust some skulls. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that about her. I think at the boot order, I could be way off base, but I really think it's going to be like Dane, then Tim, and then we're going to see Abby, Delaram, Angie, and then the final four. Or no, wait, where am I at?
Final
You're
four.
final two now of Doug and Santi.
Doug and Tom. Yeah, that's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be like, I don't think that, no, it's going to be Abby and Delaram switch. I think Abby gets fourth, Delaram gets third. And
Okay.
If it's a final 3, I see Delaram as like a 0 vote finalist.
Me too. Me too. That's literally exact. Did I say that at the beginning? Losing finalist? No, I said that.
It's like I have It's like I have ESPN or something. I'm psychic.
Shut the fuck up.
Not ESPN.
Gays really
ESPN
watch Mean Girls and say,
sports.
I'm funny.
Hey, it's a good movie. Mean Girls is high culture.
No one said it's not a good movie, but it's not a personality. Charlie, what about your thoughts? Sorry, we interrupted you.
On the boot order? Wait,
Yeah.
my thoughts on what? What were we talking
The boot
about?
order- you were saying something about the boot order.
This is
Oh,
my
I was like thinking. I was like writing it down. I think Tim, and then
Wait, I need to write this down. I need to write down my prediction.
Wait, I want to write it down so that I have it for later. For like,
I think
I'm
I'm gonna
not
go for
doing
Tim.
this. I'm going on the record. I'm not making a prediction. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be back next week, and I'm going to have to face my decisions. So I'm not making any.
I can't
Erin,
see how
swing
wrong I
Erin
am.
Abby.
made your decision, and it was Sadie's gonna win.
Yeah, and you know what? She didn't come on, so I didn't have to face my decision.
I also, another hot take, don't like the way that Dane is spelled.
That's
Wow,
valid.
really owned him. If it
Really
makes you
bad.
feel better, I don't think he made the
I don't like
choice of how it was spelled. How would you like to be spelled? Dane?
I don't know. I like
Throw a
literally
Y
any-
in there. D-A-Y
No,
in.
a Y. Yeah.
Really? Like Arthur Dane from the Song of Ice and Fire books?
Who was it that said? I'm sorry. Who's the one that said at the in the first episode? They were like, I like Dane. I'm gonna talk to him because I just like the way that his name is spelled. Or was that Dane or was that Doug?
No, someone was saying that about Dane. I think Teresa that said she liked his name.
Oh my God.
What a legend. Rob Goddess Teresa.
She was
I
Rob.
agree with that.
I don't like the way that they approached that whole situation. She deserved better.
So I have my boot order prediction, and I cannot wait to see how wrong I am because I am bad at making predictions. My prediction, Dane next episode. I feel like Santi is getting booted at Final 6. I don't have a reason to believe it, but I think he's going to get booted at
That
Final
is a
6.
hot take.
Voices.
I think Angie's going to get 5th. Like I said, she gives me Major Janet vibes. Doug's going to get 4th. I see Delaram and Abby, and the final 3 is
And
Goats, and then
Dane.
Tim
The
wins.
final three is Delaram, Abby, and Dane. Danny said it's time.
Wait, do we
Oh,
know
no,
whether
Delaram,
this?
Abby, and Tim is my final 3 prediction.
Oh my god.
That's
Like I said,
that's-
I am no Anders,
That-
you know this particularly. I am not good at making predictions, so I cannot wait to see how wrong I am.
That might have been the worst final 3 I've ever heard. Not that they don't improve, but Dane, Delaram, and Abby would be. How would you make a winner's edit?
Do we know?
I did not say Dane was getting final 3. I said Tim was.
No, you said Tim was out. Oh no, you said Dane was out. Yeah, Tim. Okay, that's better.
Are you saying you haven't been watching Delaram's winner edit this entire time?
I mean, you have, but
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Delaram, strategic goddess. What can I say?
I binged this entire season yesterday. I watched this entire thing yesterday.
I
My
watched it
dream
over the
final 3 would have been Delaram, Eric, and Teresa. What can
Oh
I
my
say?
god.
week. Teresa, Eric.
I don't know what.
Makes
what
Wait, do we know whether this is a final 3 or 2 yet?
No.
They don't. I keep saying it's a final 3 or 2. I'll let you all know it's final 3.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh,
then,
thank you for-
then I stick with my Delaram, Doug, and Santi final 3. Delaram getting 0 votes.
We'll see.
I love Delaram, but I don't think she's going to get any votes.
Mm-hmm.
Except maybe.
She can
No,
get
I don't
Abby.
think she.
It's gonna be narrow. I do think if it's Doug and Santi, I think it's still gonna be a really narrow call. I don't think it's gonna be one of them getting a ton of votes and the other only getting a few. I think it's gonna be.
Oh, a GM final 3. Wow.
That's the correct take.
Damn, yeah.
That is a-
That is
Here's okay. So we're gonna end this. But if you guys have anything you'd like to plug, Charlie, I know you do. So please,
Yes.
plug ahead.
Yeah. So
Right, you had your
I said-
time. Anyways. Go ahead.
So as said at the beginning, I'm one of the 2 hosts of Survivor Boston. We're currently in the middle of airing our 4th season, which is Survivor Boston Palamedes, which I pronounced wrong in the first episode. So you should check it out to see me pronounce the title of our season wrong. But yeah, we're in the middle of airing it. We've recently aired our 3rd episode. Our 4th episode is coming out Thursday. So definitely check that out. It's Survivor Boston Palamedes.
Yeah, if you guys are watching this season and you're going, I get these are humanities, but where are the arts majors? Boston's filled with them. They're only arts majors.
Oh, yeah.
If you wonder,
They're everywhere.
can theater kids do physical activities? No, they can't. Watch this season.
Check it out. Can we do capture the flag in episode 2? You'll see it. You'll see it happen.
Girl, they did it. They did it. Steal the bacon once, and they just all died.
They're all dead.
Also, they have a TikTok star on their cast. Whoa.
Yeah.
Not me
Yeah,
already knowing
Zach
who they were on
Hunter.
TikTok singing and going, oh, what?
Yeah.
Yep.
Who was the TikTok person?
Zach Honer.
Yeah.
He's on this current season.
But yeah, I recommend Boston. It's a lot of fun, and it really gives you a perspective that it doesn't matter if you're a theater kid or good at sports. You can play this game.
Yes.
Erin,
said.
do you have anything you want to plug?
You
Great.
go watch other college survivors too. I know UVA, UConn, and Syracuse are all also airing. So spread the love and go rewatch Survivor Michigan season 3 while you're at it. Because why not?
Danny, Brie, do either of you have anything you want to plug?
I mean, my
No.
plug's just keep watching Survivor Maryland, and you'll see me eventually.
And no, I don't think I have anything. But Alicia's watching, so hi, Alicia, the person who beat me in Endure.
Hi,
Hi,
Alicia.
Alicia.
Well, imagine
You're better
talking to
than
the
all of
person
us.
that beat you at Final Tribal. Can't really.
Imagine that, Erin.
How crazy would that be?
Whoops.
She's my friend now.
Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. It's been a wonderful time. We'll see you next week with episode 13. There's only so many episodes left in this season. Who's going to go home? And why is it Doug?
No.
I wish.
All right. Bye.